We are actually going to be looking forward to the weekend, and we have a huge weekend coming up. Yes, games are coming left, right, and center, and this is a time when we need to basically speak about the main game, because this is a historic tie in itself. Like, trust me, this tie is really historic. Back in the day, as in the crowd, I'm sure like Carl will add to it, but in terms of Chelsea versus Leeds, this is some kind of a tie which really got the rivalry going. Like, in terms of basically real fights that you saw, is what Chelsea Leeds was one of the highest kind of as in most watched game, I would say, back in the day, right? But again, over the years, it has been missing. Last year itself was great. Even in the COVID situation, we saw that game, great game at that. I think it was what, 3-1 that we beat obviously Leeds. This year it was 0-0. So it was very interesting, of course, with our man Patrick Bamford being there, and we'll get to the team news and all. But in terms of just basically head-to-head, let's actually do a quick trivia. What do you say? As in, trivia will be kind of fun. I'm sure Ameya has kind of been through it earlier as well. So again, this is just for fun, and everyone in the chat, I would love for all of you to also participate. Carl loves the trivia, I know that, and of course, Anway knows the stuff as well. So let me put it out there. Maybe Anway, I'll start with you. So it is Chelsea versus Leeds. In terms of history, like I built it up, right? Definitely there's a lot of history to it. Yes, recent years have not been kind of very frequent, these games, but in history, I think we've played them 26 times. And then I say we, obviously, is Chelsea. But in 26 matches, there have been I think 9 draws. And out of the remaining 17, can you guess how many times Leeds has beaten Chelsea in 17 matches? And anyone in the chat can also comment. It is basically a historical question, but just take a punt.
I don't know. I mean, I guess around 5. There's 5 even up.
Okay, 5. Interesting. Carl, do you have an idea?
It's a tough one because I know we had a lot of wins against Chelsea. I would say that's a tough one. I'm probably going to say at least 10.
Oh wow, Carl is definitely a confident one at that. Come on, like 10 is a bit too much, I would say. But yeah, it's close actually. It's close. Like, I would give it to Carl, because you know what, Leeds has actually beaten us on 8 occasions, 9 draws, and Chelsea has beaten Leeds on 9 occasions. So it's literally neck to neck, and the only odd one out is Leeds not winning on 9. So I don't know. Like, again, I might be jinxing it. Will this be the 9th for Leeds? Carl will say yes, and I will say no. Hopefully not, but in those 9 occasions, interestingly, like the most recent ties at home, because this game is going to be in Stamford Bridge on Saturday, and this game, that is a home fixture for Chelsea against Leeds, we have beaten Leeds on 4 consecutive occasions. The last time we met them in Stamford Bridge, in the Premier League, of course, right? But in history, we have never beaten them on 5 consecutive occasions. Again, Carl will be happy listening to these kind of stats, and that's something of note, right? For sure, at least gives the confidence. But like I said, in recent games, it's been Chelsea which has been dominant. So hopefully, we'll kind of continue that. I think another quick question that I would like to put out is basically, let's put it to Carl actually. So again, people in the chat, do pitch in. I see a few answers here, and of course, Insane Football Talks got it right for the first question. The second question is, Carl, now I think Leeds have played in London, I think in all competitions, 32 times, right? They've gone away to London 32 times. How many wins have they got in 32?
We not had a lot. I think it was at least 5 or 6 we didn't win in London. We struggled. Yeah.
Interesting. Anyone in the chat or in the panel as well knows that? So Leeds have basically, traveled to London 32 times across competitions, but have just won twice. They have just won twice. Again, that's a Chelsea thing, right? I mean, I'm kind of hoping that it's Chelsea, and definitely, Chelsea is something that would be hoping that will continue as well. And in fact, the last, I think, 2 times that they got the lead at London, out of the last 3 occasions, they went on to lose the game. So does that mean Chelsea should possibly concede early and hope that they lose again? That's a trend. But this was something really interesting for me. But talking about another stat here, this is about this season. Let's not go back to history too much. But again, yeah, Insane Football Talk says Stamford supremacy. Absolutely. That is something that we need to continue. But with Leeds, the rival that they are, trust me, it's not going to be easy. This is about this season. In this season, I'll put it to Ameya, or again in the chat as well. Now, there are basically a couple of teams who got the maximum amount of goals in the 90th minute this season. You know which two teams they are? And I can give you a hint. They are 2 out of the 3 teams that the panel is representing.
Well, would it be Leeds and Liverpool? Because I don't remember us scoring any late goals.
Interesting. I don't know. Let's see. As in, just Viola believes that they won't make it 3 on Saturday. Yes, hopefully that. But again, yes, the answer to this question is actually Leeds and Chelsea. So Chelsea actually scored in the 90th minute on 3 occasions, and so did Leeds in this Premier League already. But maybe we don't remember Ameya, and even that was a surprise for me when I read that. The fact is that Chelsea's goals were not as consequential compared to Leeds, because we kind of added on to our Leeds. When I say Leeds, it's Leads, just a word play. But Leeds, as in, I have to give you that, Carl. You basically, got those 90 minute, I think, couple of winners and 1 equalizer. So just about staying up. But talking about goals, one man who's been the man of Leeds, I think this particular season, right? And the player for Leeds has been Rafinha. Like, I hope Carl will agree there, right? Rafinha has been the player for Leeds. I think Rafinha has been saving Leeds, like literally saving Leeds. And there's no secret, Rafinha is the top goal scorer for Leeds this particular season. But again, Carl or anyone in the chat, do you know what percentage of goals has actually Rafinha scored for Leeds?
I'll say more open play than free kicks.
Overall, like basically, say for example, if Leeds have scored totally 10 goals, how many has Rafinha scored? So
I think Rafinha scored 6, at least 6.
6, and totally Leeds have scored 15 goals, right? So actually, you are bang on. Yes, he has scored 6. That's 40% of the goals. Yes, he has scored 40% of Leeds goals. Like, he's doing what Eden Hazard used to do for Chelsea, Mo Salah is doing for Liverpool. I know I'm kind of being disrespectful to the Liverpool team, Anway, but fact is that yes, I think yes, it's 40% insane football talks. But yeah, 6 goals, 40%. If I'm getting my maths right, again, do correct me if I'm incorrect. But yeah, I think that is of a great start. But I'll put a question here to everyone now. Now, Rafinha has got a lot of points for Leeds, but in the Premier League, which is that one player this season who has got the highest number of points for his club, with his goals, of course?
I think it's Bernardo Silva. I think I saw it on my Instagram feed as well.
Bernardo Silva, nice guess. Let me actually wait for that. But any other guesses? Like, who has been the player who's got the highest number of points for his team directly in terms of goals, which has mattered?
I'm going to say Mo Salah, because I think he's probably been scoring a lot more lately.
Okay, this was actually very interesting because I did not expect this. Even I thought it would have been Mo Salah or Bernardo Silva, as in possibly the players of the season. But the goals that matter, as in the most. So Rafinha is only second, by the way. Rafinha is second in the whole of the Premier League, the amount of points that he's won leagues. And the Loudmouth Show is in the house. Big up to the Loudmouth Show. Mo Salah, no incorrect. It is Jamie Vardy for Leicester City. We thought that.
I'm surprised because Leicester's not been doing well this season. But
absolutely. And that is the whole point about discussing this. But yeah, that was hopefully interesting. I don't know, a lot of trivia there. Hopefully you guys got to know something about that you didn't know. That I certainly did. And again, everyone there in the chat just joined. Please do smash the like button, and of course, we need more people. So if you can share the stream, that'll be great, because we will be getting into details about the Chelsea Leeds game. So yes, talking about the game in itself, right? As in the form, for sure. I think it's Chelsea, I would say, slightly in better form, although it's pathetic. Like, even Chelsea's form in recent times, I think 5 we've just won 2, we have drawn 2 and lost 1. Of course, that West Ham United loss, we don't want to remember too much about it. But Leeds, on the other hand, you've just won 1 game, but lost 1 as well. So Leeds are turning into this draw merchants all of a sudden. Like, Bielsa turning into a draw merchant, that was unthinkable last season. So Carl, I don't know, like, what do you think Carl is missing this season, like, overall?
To be honest, it's more about the squad. It's not just about the squad depth and the injury to our key players at the moment. And I think because last year we didn't get a lot of draws. We never did. I think it was one of the few teams that I think didn't get a draw away from home or so forth. But this season's been a bit of a draw in issue. I think we just be short on the players, because our substitutes bench is not have really good players that can make a difference. We have youngsters at the moment, and to be quite honest with you, I have been a little bit worried about our squad depth. I know we've been fine with that for the last few years, but now people catching us up. We just thought we got Patrick Bamford coming back from the injury. Now we're hearing the bad news about Calvin Phillips, who's got a hamstring injury. He might be out till January or somewhat. And so is our captain, Lee Cooper. So we just go for another a mess. And Rodrigo's also injured again. And that was the news I got today as well. So it's just been injury after injury to our key players. We thought we were getting back slowly, but we're now just getting injuries again.
Yeah, I think definitely. I think you covered the injuries there, and that's well. I think apart from that, if I'm not wrong, even Robin Koch, I think that's how you pronounce it. Even he's been ill, so he may not feature as well. And Cooper also, I think if I'm not wrong, he had a slight hamstring problem
as well
in the Brentford game that it drew, right? As in, it'll be interesting what kind of lineup Leeds come up with. I think let's quickly cover the Chelsea team news as well. In terms of team news, I know the presser at the time of speaking, we don't have the presser news still. But I think Ameya, if I'm not wrong, Kante surely will not start, even if he's, say, for example, if he's miraculously recovering. And same with Chalobah, I don't see them starting. And possibly, I think Kovacic will be out for another 10 days or so because of the COVID issue. And I think Chilwell, we all know, at least until Jan and possibly he's out. So that kind of, again, picks the team by itself. I know the Champions League travel, there might be some key players rested. I'll try and share my screen because I actually have put up a lineup that I feel that Chelsea possibly will be better off going with. So this is what I feel, Ameya, because for me, it will be a 3-5-2. Again, people in the chat do comment. What do you think about this lineup? For me, Mount, the mistake in that Champions League game was that, our midfielders were not protected enough. And same with the wing backs. And that's not something that they were used to, Reece James and Barkley. Here again, Jorginho is coming back from an injury. I don't know if he'll really be fit. I'm hoping that he'll probably recover in time, and Loftus-Cheek as well. I know that they were on the bench, but there were kind of rumors that Loftus-Cheek had a slight issue as well, and he was kind of feeling some kind of discomfort, and that's why he didn't start that game. Alonso, James, again, I think everyone kind of requires some kind of a backup plan, so as to speak, in midfield. So Mount might be that person, and Timo Werner just coming to form, possibly just continue that, right? Ameya, what do you think?
Yeah, I think I more or less agree with your lineup, right? And we obviously have to see Loftus-Cheek's fitness issues because apparently he got injured in the pre-match warm-up, which is why Reece James had to step into midfield for the game. So I think we're going to have to see whether Reece James is fit. If Ruben Loftus-Cheek is fit enough to play this game as well, whether Jorginho is fit enough to play this game as well. I mean, of course, Jorginho was rested, right? He didn't make the trip to Russia, so hopefully he is rested and fine. But apart from that, we do have a lot of notable absentees. But I think, we have to continue the Werner-Lukaku partnership for sure. I think there are a lot of other players. I think Ziyech has actually been really impressing me off late, coming off the bench. So I think he could be in with a shout. Maybe Hudson-Odoi once again in attack as well. He didn't really look himself in the wing-back role. So there are a lot of possibilities, but I'm just really scared about Alonso, if I'm being honest. I know that he sometimes gets a lot of unnecessary flack from our fan base, but especially with the fast-paced football that Leeds play, I just don't see Alonso tracking back. So I think that could be an area where Leeds could exploit us, especially with Rafinha playing on that side as well, right? So I think I'm scared, if I'm being very honest. And considering how Leeds season has gone so far, like Carl summed it up perfectly earlier, I mean, there have been a lot of issues and all of that stuff. Yes, so they were actually one of the teams I thought would be an outside shout to break into the top 7 for this season, but unfortunately that hasn't got to plan. So a lot of factors to consider, but I'm not confident heading into this game, unfortunately, with the personnel that we have.
I'm kind of wanting to be positive, but again, I think Mendy, being in form makes a huge difference. Like him having that commanding ability, hopefully he'll be in the right frame of mind, and he'll probably can't get back to it because let's be honest, he's been one of the best goalkeepers there is, but that last couple of mistakes that he made was something that totally not many right. That's something that's why I would like to see him. And I think Just Viola talks about Christensen ahead of Aspi. For me, again, I did cover in the review. For people who missed it, do check it out, because the reason why Aspi is not looking his part is because of the reason that he's not playing enough. Aspi is not the kind of player who can come a game and just perform. He has always been that player who kind of plays week in, week out, and he's that player for me who needs that kind of momentum. He's that he's got a rugged attitude. For him to just come and just perform, he's not that kind of player. So again, Christensen didn't have a great game. Like he gave a lot of space, I think, to the Zenit player. So I think that might be reason enough for me. But that's interesting because I think Ameya, you touch upon a very interesting point about as in our left flank. So Carl, for you, what would be the key in this game? Like, what do you think, apart from Rafinha, which is the obvious, where is it that you can open up Chelsea, looking at Chelsea and looking at your own team?
It's a good question, actually. It really is. It's kind of a hard one for me because other than Rafinha, I don't know where our strong point is going to be for Chelsea's weakness. I don't know. It's a hard one because we don't have Calvin Phillips, who's going to be in that central defence midfielder. He's not there. But I think I would say it's probably may look at the central midfield where Adam Forshaw, who's come back from his injury after being nearly 2 years away from the game. He looks like a new signing, and he has been a bit of a difference, when he's been playing in that role, in that central midfield role. So I think for that, that's where I think Chelsea could, Forshaw could try to break down Chelsea's midfield part if he can always keep an eye, make sure he keeps Chelsea from pressing up, attacking.
Yeah, that's I think a fair call. Again, I'll just try and share the Leeds 11 that was actually playing in the last game against Brentford. I know, like you mentioned, Carl, there are injuries that we already covered, but what are the changes that you see from this 11? Like in terms of the setup, I'm assuming you'll probably match the setup, but what are the personnel changes that you see in the 11?
I will see that the changes will be Forshaw will play as the central midfielder. You see Matej Klich coming in, replacing Phillips. Pascal Struijk will be in the central back three along with Liam Cooper. Up front, I think there's not going to be much change up that one. I think that's where it is, but I think it's going to be least changes in the midfield and the back three. That's all I can see with that one. I think we'll still keep the rest of the team will roughly be the same, but I think this will be key changes.
Okay, I think that's something that I think possibly Leeds can go with. Again, Leeds are very flexible. They've been that in the last season. But Anway, I know Liverpool beat them quite convincingly. I think it was 3-0. It was at home, if I'm not wrong, and that was a while back. But do you see Leeds really kind of getting back the momentum? And because I think probably 2 weeks prior to this, you asked me, I would have said Leeds are actually in danger. Like honestly speaking, again, Carl, no offense, but that's just speaking as a neutral. But Anway, looking at Leeds' performance against Liverpool and just the season throughout, like, are you convinced Leeds have enough in them to kind of stay up?
So when you say stay up, I'm not quite sure. But coming to the Chelsea game, it's definitely going to be a hard one for them. But at the same time, I hate to say it, but Chelsea also aren't in their top form, in the form that every other team was scared to play against them. But Carl, you might correct me, but I saw Patrick Bamford playing last game. Will he be featuring in this game as well, or is he still out with his muscle injuries?
I think he'll still feature in the game, but I think he'll be on the bench again. I think Bielsa is not going to rush Bamford back in the starting 11. I think Tyler Roberts has justified himself after the last few weeks of we did criticise him. He should leave the club, go and leave it alone in January. But I think he's justified the last few games how bad it is. I think Bielsa does not chop and change, doesn't like to do that, but I think he'll stick with Tyler Roberts up front.
Wow, that's actually an interesting call, because I think if Patrick Bamford is close to fit, as in he scored the goal against Chelsea, and again being an ex-Chelsea man, I would assume coming to Stamford Bridge he would love to start, but again it's not in his hands, like you said. Bielsa, I don't know. I think Roberts, let's be honest, he's kind of improving game by game, hopefully for Leeds, that is. Let's go through the predictions quickly around the table. So Ameya, what do you reckon will happen this game?
I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that I haven't jinxed it, but I think it's going to be a repeat of last season. I think Chelsea's going to win by 3-1.
Anyway, what's your call?
I want Leeds to win this. I hope Leeds win 2-1.
Come on, Carl.
You're putting me out on the spot here now. I have to say Leeds will have to win 2-1 because that's the only way I can see if Chelsea just have a bad day. But yeah, I'm just not gonna be like my dad, not confident and not watching the game until after. Yeah, if you get too nervous for me.
Clean sheet is key, for me. But Leeds, honestly, if you have to ask me about the predictions, Chelsea fans, you might hate me. I can actually see a score draw in this. And Carl, you might take that as well for sure. But I can actually see that happening. Us conceding 3 goals back to back, we are falling back to the December trap again. Hoping that I'm wrong, but again, I'm just trying to wear the neutral's hat. Going by what momentum Leeds have gained in the last week and a half, and what Chelsea has kind of lost. So it's just going with that, and of course the injuries.